Shields up, Ironbreakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And today I figured I would talk about a couple of the things that I learned throughout the live streams that Capcom held during E3, where they just basically went on hunts. They hunt Biotudus, they hunted Bambaro, and they hunted Tigrex, which it is Tigrex. You can't call him Tigrex anymore. It's been officially confirmed that it is Tigrex. Sorry, man. Feels bad. I was one of the guys that always thought Tigrex, because it just sounds better, right? Tiger, Tigrex. That's the way that I always saw it, but nope, it's Tigrex. Sorry, we've been wrong this whole time. But anyway, let's talk about a couple of the new things that we learned from the live streams. One of the very first things that we learned on the very first live stream is that they are finally adding a photo mode to Monster Hunter World. And I cannot emphasize how important this is to me personally, because I find the game beautiful, and a lot of times I would like to take some snapshots where I get to actually set up the angle, mess around with the settings and stuff like that. It's just a feature that I've been asking pretty much since the beta. As a matter of fact, if you go far enough into my Twitter timeline, you will find, like, on the, I'm not sure if it was on the first beta or on the second beta, that I basically just tweeted at Socks and I'm like, dude, I need a photo mode so that I can make the pretty thumbnails, man. I don't want to be looking online for pretty thumbnails, and a lot of the thumbnails that I end up using on Monster Hunter World ends up being from the gallery, where we get the cinematic shots with the characters' faces, that kind of stuff. And I've always wanted to be able to take better shots with it, because at the end of the day, it is a beautiful game regardless of how I feel about it. So adding a photo mode, thank you very much. I cannot thank you enough for that little feature. Then we learned about a couple of things in regards to difficulty. This was confirmed during, I believe, also the first live stream that they talked about, which is they are going to be implementing dynamic difficulty into Monster Hunter World. And some of you guys are like, dynamic difficulty? Like EA? Like what? If I die too many times, game becomes easy? No, none of that stuff. It changes dynamically depending on the number of players present in the hunt, which was not something that was a Monster Hunter feature, and we still don't know how this is going to impact very specific monsters, like, for instance, Kolv Taroth, the Behemoth, and which one is the other one? Leshen, Ancient Leshen, actually. Because the way that this dynamic difficulty is going to work, it's like if you go into a hunt by yourself, you get the one-player difficulty. And that used to be the way that it used to be in Monster Hunter and the base version of the game, and where you have the difficulty for one player, and then you have another difficulty for multiplayer. And if you go into a multiplayer hunt with two people, it is still scaled for multiplayer numbers, regardless of how many people are there. Well, now that's going to change. You're going to have the scaling for one player, scaling for two players, scaling for three players, and scaling for four players. And here's the thing. In a way, I'm not in favor of this. In another way, I'm okay with it. And in a third way, I'm extremely conflicted, I guess, in regards to this particular feature. Because, yes, I think it's a good idea to scale things down to the number of players that are present in the hunt and have a setting for when there's one player, two players, three players, and four players. But I want to be able to go into the harder difficulty without having all players there. And it would also be cool if the game would actually reward you with additional monster parts for taking the higher difficulty hunts. Because this would enable people that, like, oh, I struggle a little bit on certain hunts, so I want to go in and I want to have the proper scaled up version. And then you have other people that maybe, like, they're just going through these hunts at lightning fast speed, and they just need materials. And then you could have these people have a bit of a more challenging time, while at the same time gathering more materials for whatever it is they happen to be crafting. Maybe even increase chances of getting, getting the rare materials like the rubies and the gems and stuff like that. I think that would be an interesting thing. That is not the case right now. Right now it's just like dynamic difficulty, one player, you get the thing tuned up for one player, two players tuned up for two players. And, it is good for people that are coming to the franchise for the first time, so that whenever they happen to be playing with their one friend or something like that, instead of having like a full party, they're like, man, this monster sure feels hard. Yeah, because it's tuned up for four players. I always felt that was the purpose of the Palicos, to kind of like even the odds. It's like, if you got two players, you got two Palicos in there with you. If you got three players, you no longer have the Palico. So I always thought that the Palicos themselves were the equalizer. And sure, they're not going to be as useful as Well, depending on who's behind the controller, though. Sometimes they're actually more useful than some people. So there is that. But as I was saying, it's like, you know, the palicos, I always thought of them as an equalizer. And I guess that is not the way that they feel about it. So there's going to be that particular change there. Another interesting thing that we discovered throughout those live streams is that there are decoration slots in the new upgraded mantle. So in a lot of live streams, you will see that the mantle is actually named whatever it was named and that it has a plus sign on it. So that indicates to me that you're going to be doing some kind of like optional quest in Iceborne where you will be receiving upgraded versions of your mantles or just flat out upgrading the mantles that you own into these superior versions. And in those versions, you will be able to put decorations in there, thus allowing you to further customize your build and really taking things to the next level, which is really, really cool. I can't wait to see what kind of stuff we're going to get. Next on the subject of tail raiders. So we talked about tail raiders on my previous video, but I never really got to see it in action with a UI and actually seeing what the players go through when they're on top of a tail raider. And pretty much it's a really convenient thing to be on the back of a tail raider. You can lock them onto players according to what they were saying. So like, for instance, say you're the one leading the hunt, I could lock on my tail raider onto you and it would be following you as opposed to actually be chasing down the monster. You can also set your tail raider to be tracking the monster, and then you pick up the footprints while you are on top of the tail raider and you advance the investigation until you find the monster, at which point the tail raider will start zeroing in on the monster. And while you are on the tail raider, you can basically do everything you would be able to do if you were off the tail raider. So you're able to sharpen your weapon, you're able to drink potions, you're able to craft items, you're able to do everything. You're able to fire your slinger shot if you want to. You're able to do everything you'd be able to do if you were not on top of a tail raider, which again makes it very convenient because, like, say the monster is running away from you, like God knows where into the map. And you're just like, okay, now I gotta sharpen up before I follow him, and then I gotta, craft these things while I'm running there. Now you can just be like, no, just have the tail raider go, and you can keep on doing whatever the hell it is that you want to do. Sharpen your weapon, equip flash pods, craft mega barrel bombs. Extremely useful. However, you can only summon those tail raiders if you are out of combat, so keep that in mind. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about a specific thing in regards to the Clutch Claw. There's been a lot of speculation from the community about what the Clutch Claw is going to work like. One of the things that a lot of people were saying on my videos, like, you can see they only shoot the monster when it is tired and it's drooling, so the monster needs to be exhausted in order for you to use the Clutch Claw. That's all wrong. Forget about all that. You can use the Clutch Claw whenever you want. Depending on, the restrictions of your weapon. So, for instance, the hammer can only really use the Clutch Claw after a charged attack, if I remember correctly. But basically, the Clutch Claw is going to work just like zero-sum discharge on the Switch Axe. And Switch Axe users will know exactly what I mean when I say it's a pretty risky move, depending on the state that the monster is in, which is why in the weapon demonstrations that we got, a lot of the time they used Clutch Claw when the monster was drooling or tired or anything of that nature, because that is one of the only situations where you can guarantee the outcome of the Clutch Claw. What this means is that you are not invincible while you are doing the Clutch Claw. So if the monster is in the middle of an attack, he's gonna hit you. Like, your Clutch Claw means absolutely nothing to him. Okay, so you jumping on top of the monster with a Clutch Claw needs to be something that is very well planned out. Just like the zero-sum discharge, which is extremely dangerous and has got me killed more times than once, and it is insane. More times than I can count. Why did I say more times than once? Anyway, I've died a lot of times doing zero-sum discharge, which is one of the reasons why I don't play Switch Axe as much as I used to. But anyway, yeah, the Clutch Claw is going to be a very dangerous move. Now, we've talked about the Clutch Claw and how it has two different types of effects depending on the weapon that is using it. With a certain group of weapons, usually lighter weapons plus the gun lance, you will be able to extract ammunition from the monster by using the Clutch Claw attack. And if you use it with the heavy weapons like the Great Sword, the hammer, and a bunch of other weapons, right? you're going to weaken the specific part of the monster. And today I'd like to go a little bit more in depth into the heavy weapons when you use a clutch claw. See, when you weaken that specific part of the monster, you will see that part becomes like scarred in white marks, indicating like, hey, you should probably target here. You're going to deal additional damage here, which is going to make it easier for hunters to coordinate among themselves because they can actually see which part of the monster has been weakened by whoever did the clutch claw attack. On top of that, the damage numbers also change when you are hitting a weakened part. They show up with like these 4 arrows in the corners pointing inwards. That means you're damaging a weak part, so that you know, okay, I'm hitting here, this is not weakened. I'm hitting here, I'm getting bonus damage because I'm hitting a weakened part. So that'll probably make it easier for players to identify where they want to hit the monster in order to get the best effects, and also to coordinate your efforts to get specific parts. Like, hey, we need to get a tail chop, better get working on weakening this tail so that everybody can cut it off. Now, another thing that I speculated on was the Charge Blade's Savage Slash. Like, I was speculating on whether it was going to be file-based or if it was going to be something that was going to be time-based, and I'm not exactly sure why I got into all those wild theories when all of the mechanics that are present in the Savage Slash are pretty much already present in the Charge Blade. Like, you charge your sword, it's a time-based mechanic. You charge your shield, it's a time-based mechanic. You do the Savage Slash, you charge axe mode of the Charge Blade, it's a time-based mechanic, and it's got a new indicator to let you know that the axe is in charge mode so that you can swap into axe mode and do whatever attacks you want. The file attacks work exactly the same way, so anything that discharges a file will still discharge a file while you are doing Savage Slash mode. Not sure if I was the only one that had that particular question in my mind, but I don't know, I guess I just wasn't thinking properly when I went through the moves of the Charge Blade and all of that stuff. And then the other theory that I had was in regards to the echo note of the hunting horn, and throughout the footage I've noticed that basically the echo note is an additional note that you play by pressing the L2 button, and that is going to basically give you a lot more variety in terms of the songs that you're able to perform with a hunting horn. Do keep in mind though, I'm not much of a hunting horn user, so I don't know all that much more about it. I just know that echo note, you have to press L2 to get that echo note out, and then when you perform, you're going to leave behind the bubble depending on which song you actually played, because there's also certain songs that will do offensive stuff, which you will be able to do with the echo notes as well. But anyway, that is pretty much all of the information that I was able to get out of these live streams that Capcom has held. Let me know if you guys were watching those live streams with close attention. Let me know if I missed anything specific. Leave it in the comment section down below. And if there's enough stuff that I've missed, I might do a follow-up video to this addressing all of those other things. But for now, that is going to be it. The hypometer is just like completely exploded. I'm in the hype train, and I'm not getting off the hype train until September 6th. Can't wait for Iceborne. How about you guys? What do you guys think about it? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching. If you guys enjoy my videos, remember you can always subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, hit the like button. That type of stuff really helps me stay relevant in the algorithm because I'm on YouTube's bad boy list. They don't like me for some reason. I don't care. I'm not going to change the way I do stuff. Either way, stay strong, and may your shields never break.